So let's dive in. Australia is facing this whole storm of challenges, right? From housing costs to skill shortages. But what if they're not really separate storms at all? Today, we're going to unpack a really compelling argument that all these issues are just symptoms of one massive underlying shift, a shift that's forcing us to completely rethink what progress even looks like. Just think about the news you see every day. It feels like a constant barrage of different crises. But what if the housing crisis, the skills shortage, and the insane cost of living aren't individual fires we need to put out? What if they're all just smoke rising from the same big, hidden fire? I mean, these are the headlines we all know, and they're all tangled up together. The argument we're looking at today says these are the totally predictable outcomes of huge long-term shifts, things like population growth and crazy fast tech adoption. They're not the disease itself, they're the symptoms of a whole new world we're living in. And that brings us right to the core idea here. We've stepped into a fundamentally new environment. And this isn't just some phase we're going through, it's an era of permanent, non-stop change. This slide really gets to a crucial shift in thinking. You see, the old way was to kind of wait for a crisis to blow up, then scramble to build some huge, one-off policy to fix it. But this new reality? It demands what's called continuous adaptation, basically building up our ability to manage ongoing change from the ground up, instead of just lurching from one emergency to the next. Okay, so if we accept that we're in this new world of constant change, it puts us at a pretty clear choice. The source material frames this whole thing as a national crossroads with two very, very different paths we can take. On one side, you've got the path we're on now, basically being a passive passenger, just getting tossed around by all the volatility. You might learn new skills at work, but it could take years for them to be formally recognized. It's a journey filled with uncertainty. But the other path, the adjusted path, is about grabbing the steering wheel. It's about giving people and workplaces the tools to see and validate skills as they happen, in real time, building momentum with every small, visible win. And this quote just nails it, doesn't it? It's not about trying to avoid change. That's impossible. It's about choosing how we deal with it. Do we just let it happen to us? Or do we start building the skills to navigate through it? The big question then is, how do we build that capability? So how do we get there? How do we build that ability to actively participate? Well, the proposed solution isn't some other massive top-down reform. It's something much quieter, but maybe far more powerful. It's all about harnessing the power of small wins. See, here's the fundamental problem with those huge, big bang reforms. You press a button at the top, but the benefits have to travel through this long, complicated system. By the time anything good actually trickles down to the people on the ground, years have passed, everyone's lost faith, and all the momentum is just gone. And this is the alternative. Incremental progress isn't just about making random little improvements here and there. It's a whole system of small, repeatable steps that are structured and backed by evidence. Each little win builds on the last, and they compound over time, kind of like interest in a savings account, but for the whole country's capability. And when you do this, you kickstart this amazing positive feedback loop. When workers and their bosses can actually see the progress they're making, confidence skyrockets. When people feel capable and valued, they're way more likely to stick around. Productivity improves naturally without some massive disruptive overhaul. And maybe most importantly, all these small actions generate real-world data that can help make smarter policy down the road. So this system of small compounding wins, it makes a ton of sense, right? But where does it actually happen? The whole argument is that it has to be anchored in the one place where productivity, skills, and participation all come together, the workplace. And that raises a huge question. If we're not just going to sit around and wait for another top-down government policy to solve everything, then where does the responsibility for building this adaptive capability actually lie? How do we make this a real thing, on the ground every single day? Well, the answer isn't a new program. It's more like new infrastructure for the workplace. Just imagine simple tools that let any business clearly define what's expected in a job, recognize learning that happens while you work, and validate performance with actual evidence. All of a sudden, a person's day-to-day work becomes a source of real, portable value they can carry with them for their entire career. All right, let's bring this all home. What does this path actually look like in practice? The key thing to get is that it's not a violent revolution. It's a measured, modest shift, a way forward that's actually built for the long haul. And this is maybe the most important takeaway. It's so easy to get trapped in this false choice, right? Either we need some radical, explosive reform, or we're just stuck with things as they are. This idea proposes a third way, a middle path. It's one that empowers workplaces to take ownership in a way that's transparent, scalable, and based on real evidence. Ultimately, it all comes down to this really simple but kind of profound idea. Instead of trying to make one giant, impossible leap across a chasm, we just focus on laying down one solid plank at a time. We build a bridge through countless small, well-designed steps. And that leaves us with one last big question to chew on. In a world that feels so overwhelmingly complex, in an era of permanent change, could it be that our most credible, most resilient path forward is actually the one with the smallest steps? Definitely something to think about.